All right, everybody. I'm sure you probably recognize the individual I have on the screen right now. And his name is Leeland Jones from leelandjones.com. And we're going to talk about Armageddon today. And we're going to talk about all the things that are going on in the Middle East and otherwise too, just world events in general. But Leeland, so good to see you again. It's been a couple of years,
Yes.
man. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the website.
Yes. Thank you so much, Johnny, for inviting me, and shalom to everybody.
So, wow, we're the times that we're in. What a time to be alive! I mean, this is the time that the prophets desired to see. Am I wrong? I
Yes.
mean, this
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yes. It's very exciting for everybody. So you understand, I am in Cyprus, and it's an
Yes.
island. It's a country. It's Greek speaking. I'm out in the Mediterranean. It's very close to Lebanon. It's very close to Israel. I'm right here. There's so much happening. I've had the military exercises go on right over my head, bombers, jet fighters, drones, all the stuff you heard about in the news that happened in Cyprus. I'm way away from the city. I'm way in the mountains, far away. But I saw all this stuff and I was like, what? At first I was like, is Greece and Turkey, is that the war? And then, Nasrallah comes out and says, oh, we're going to bomb Cyprus.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, man. He said those exercises were Israel planning for Lebanon because the terrain in the mountains, it's a small island, but it has nice mountains, nice size, and it's just like Lebanon. The weather, everything is just like Lebanon. So they were testing this war in Lebanon a couple years ago.
Okay. And so, also, didn't Turkey come out and say that if Cyprus allows those bases to be used to attack or defend Israel, that Turkey would then attack Cyprus and take the whole
Yes.
island or something like that?
No, Cyprus is very confusing. I don't want to bore you with all the
Right.
details, but it's divided. So there's a part that's called Northern Cyprus and it's Turkish.
Okay.
It's not part of Turkey, but it's unrecognized. They have an airport, and Turkey has lots of tanks. They have military bases there. They have a military drone airport. So they've done lots of exercises. They've done lots of things. Now, Turkey said this. Nasrallah said, okay, we're going to bomb Cyprus because they're helping Israel and they're going to launch attacks from Cyprus. Now, what Cyprus has, it has a very large naval and air base from the British, and the Americans are using this as well. So this
Hmm.
is sovereign territory. It's pretty good size, guys. There's a couple of them, and they take up something like 3 to 5% of the whole island, the whole territory. There's big places, right? So it's sovereign territory. So Cyprus cannot tell the UK what to do. All
Okay.
right. So what's going to happen is this has been happening all along, where the British naval bases, the Americans there, it's a transport hub. Everything comes here, and then it goes to whatever. They're launching the jet fighters from here to defend Israel. So everything is happening, but it's not the island and government of Cyprus that's directly involved. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what's exciting about this, Johnny, is that when Nasrallah said this, it got me excited, and I'm always revisiting prophecy all the time. I'm revisiting prophecy and looking at things, and I was like, because yeah, we are right here, and we don't want to get nuked, because I was concerned. Okay, we're going to get nuked on the island because Russia's going to take out the British naval bases. They're
Right.
talking. They're going to take up the naval bases all over the world, right? So I was like, oh no, don't nuke us, man. But it's actually great news. And Johnny, I found it in prophecy. So Isaiah chapter 23, it's a whole prophecy. The whole chapter is dealing with the UK. Okay. For time's
Okay.
sake, I won't get into it, but Brexit is in there. And basically after World War II, the harlot will sing after 70 years. And so the UK, they went into the European Union, and then Brexit is when she leaves the European Union. So it's all the UK. The first verse says that Tarshish is what it's called. It's the ancient Tarshish, and we know it's the UK by the tin. But anyway, it says Tarshish has harbors in the land of Kittim,
Okay.
and they will perish or they will be destroyed. So what I believe that means is that there's naval harbors. There's harbors in the land of Kittim, which is the land of Cyprus. Kittim means Cyprus, and that those naval bases will be destroyed,
Wow.
not the island of Cyprus, and not something in the crosshairs of the whole war. Now we still could have the war because I'm looking out my window at Turkey.
Right.
I I'm in the mountains and I'm looking in a direction and I look at the lights down below and that is Turkey. And
That's
then
wild.
Turkey and Greece is always at odds and it could happen here. We don't know.
Right.
So anyway, I believe that that prophecy means that Hezbollah, Russia, because this is going to be everybody. This is going to be Turkey. Everybody's picked their sides, and when it goes off, everybody's going to be against everybody else. So when Israel is using the naval bases in Cyprus, that's what I'm going to call them, the British naval bases in Cyprus, because it's confusing, because
Right.
it makes you think that, oh, Cyprus is doing this. Well, it's not really. Cyprus is not even like a real military. It's kind of like a National Guard in the United States. It's not like the federal military, of the whole country. It's because of the war, they've had to be demilitarized. So they're just, they have a few. They don't have jet fighters. They don't have. They have helicopters. They have only minor things,
Right.
tanks, but only to kind of protect this little island. They're in no position to get involved with anything else anywhere else. But it's very strategic because
Hmm.
we're right here. We're right next to Turkey. We're a stone's throw from Lebanon. A flight to Tel Aviv is like 45 minutes.
Well, the Most High couldn't have put you in a better position for a front row seat, could he? I mean,
Well,
you're
yeah,
right
yeah.
there,
I
man.
mean, the thing is, I'm excited. I'm excited about all this, and I'm excited to know this prophecy because it doesn't matter where we are. Look, if we're in a country that's a nuclear power, we don't know, right? We don't know. Like if you guys in the United States or you're in Europe, you're in France, you're in the UK, it's hit or miss. You don't know what cities and what's going to be targeted
Right.
when it all goes down.
Right.
So that's the thing that has the anxiety of like it's like Sodom and Gomorrah, but you don't know which one of those cities, the whole the whole
Right.
nation. It's going to happen.
Right.
Um,
So what are the roles? For example, I noticed in one of your videos, you said that all of the land that was promised to Israel has to be taken back before Jesus Christ can return and set up his millennial kingdom. And that's the one part that I sat there and went, wow, okay. And I'm a little bit confused, and I know others are too, because I've been asked that question. Well, how did he get to that, Johnny? I said, I don't know, but maybe I'll just go ahead and ask him.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, that's a good question, and the best way to do it is with maps. Okay, let me do this. Um, let's see. I'm on a Mac Air, and I'm not that familiar with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a maps program, kind of like Google
Hmm.
Maps. And I'm gonna, I'll show you this here. Okay. I'm just gonna position myself over the land, and I'll show you basically what we're looking at. So just so you guys know, the whole country, all of Lebanon, okay, the whole country is in the promised land.
Right.
Okay. It is in the promised land. So now we don't know exactly to what extent that it will all be included in the modern state of Israel. But what's happening with these wars is these wars are kind of showing that it's looking like the modern state of Israel is including the land that Christ is going to reign in.
Right.
Okay.
So
And,
right. So all the
and
countries that are gathering against it are going to be part of that kingdom, of that
that's
millennial
right.
reign.
That's right. So then the question is, well, where are the borders?
Right.
So there's parts of the modern state of Israel that are not in the borders. Okay. So like Eilat, when you see it go down to the Red Sea, Eilat is not part of the borders. Okay, so that's actually not. So that actually could be a situation where that is destroyed. We don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We're not, but if you go through history, every single major war in Israel is all related to these precise borders. Every time.
Okay.
They took the Sinai, but they had to give it back because it's not in the borders. They get the Golan Heights because it's in the borders. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's this ebb and flow back and forth. And okay, let me screen share. I'm going to show you a couple maps. The first one I want to show you, you might remember this, but basically Netanyahu, he had a speech, and this is a recent. This here is just basically a recent post I have, and we probably should take a look at a few of these things here, because it's going to really help explain a
Yes,
lot of things.
absolutely.
Okay, so right here, Netanyahu, he went. You might remember this, Johnny. Netanyahu went and did a speech in the United Nations 2 weeks before October 7th,
Mhm.
and everyone was upset because he put a map up. In this map, he showed the state of Israel, and it's all blue, and it absorbs or includes the West Bank and the Gaza Strip.
Right.
And most people are like, oh, there's no West Bank, there's no Gaza Strip. I looked at it and said, where's Lebanon? You see?
Right.
Where's Lebanon? Lebanon is just this little piece. I'm like, oh, this is he's telling us something here. Because if you look, you can see, as the country goes up, the promised land is going to run along the Jordan River, the Sea of Galilee, and then it goes up. But basically, what he is saying is that half of Lebanon, this is almost to Beirut,
Right.
half of Lebanon is going to be included in the state of Israel. So this is crazy.
Wow.
It's very bold, and usually when he does these things, he follows up with it. Okay, but now let's take a look. I apologize, I don't have the map where I draw this out exactly, but basically, the promised land that Christ will reign in the millennium. It's detailed in the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel describes the millennial temple, and it tells you exactly the boundaries, and
Okay.
says these are the boundaries of the 12 tribes. Okay.
Yep.
So right here is the present boundary of state of Israel, and here is the Golan Heights.
Okay.
Here is Damascus. Now this boundary, what it's going to do, it's going to follow this Golan Heights, and it's going to basically go right up straight, right up to Hamath. All right, see?
Yep.
See this Hama here. You know about this, Johnny? Hama is Hamath. So in the Bible, it talks about the place called Hamath. In the Syrians, they never changed its name. This is still Hamath to this day. So this is it. So this border, it goes all the way up here, and then it goes all the way down right at the bottom of the screen here. This is Jerusalem and the Dead Sea. Okay. Once we're here at the Dead Sea or the Salt Sea, basically what it does is it turns and it goes right into basically the Gaza Strip. Okay, so it turns down here. So it doesn't include all this. Now, what's interesting about that is this is the ancient Edom. Okay, and Edom is Jacob and Esau.
Right.
Esau's descendants are called Edom, and this is their territory.
Okay. Very interesting.
So some of the things that deal with prophecy, it doesn't matter what country it is in now. The scriptures are talking about where the physical place was at the time of that prophecy. So they're making things that are in Edom. Okay. So the notes that I have here are dealing with a summary of Armageddon.
Right.
And if we look here at the Golan Heights, this is Tiberias in the Sea of Galilee. Now, Galilee is a region, and this is also really important for everyone to understand, is that we're in Armageddon, brother. This is as simple as we can look at it. Okay, so in here, all this green area is called the Galilee. So the Galilee is a region. The Sea of Galilee is right here. And so you'll hear people, you'll hear locals, you'll even hear Hezbollah talk about the Galilee. And what they're saying is they're basically saying that area that's just south of the Lebanese border. So southern Lebanon is here. This is the Golan Heights. And so in this Galilee region is Armageddon.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. So that's the Valley of Megiddo.
It's the Valley of Megiddo. Okay. So everyone understands Megiddo is in the Old Testament, and that's what Ar means mountain, and Megiddo is a place. It's a valley. Okay. So, but there's a mountain there, and that's what Armageddon is. It's the mountain of Megiddo, and it's a place. And that place is in the Galilee. Okay, so when you hear Hezbollah saying, our feet will stand in the Galilee.
Wow.
This is Armageddon, because in the sixth bowl, when the angel pulls out, he gathered them to the place in the Hebrew tongue called Har Megiddo. Okay, and this is where it is, guys. It's right here. You know how I'm not saying we know exactly how this is. I'm just saying that there's a local Armageddon and there's a global Armageddon. That's what this study is here.
That's what I was going to ask you about too.
Right.
About the differences between those two.
Okay. We have it here, very, very easily laid out. And okay, so I'm gonna come back to Gog Magog. And all right, let's look at no, I have to do that because that's the global Armageddon. Okay, so you can see here it says the global Armageddon, and it says the frogs in the sixth bowl says they go forth unto the kings of the earth of the whole world.
Yes. Yep. I've been studying this too recently.
You see, so there's an Armageddon that is the whole world.
Okay, that's the difference.
You see, and that's what I personally believe started in Ukraine.
Right.
That's what I believe, that the global Armageddon started in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. But then there's a local Armageddon in the place.
Right.
And that place is in the modern state of Israel.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay. And then what we're doing in this study is it says he will gather forth the kings of the whole world and gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. So Armageddon is the judgment on the whole world, you know, but it's also going to deal with a localized. Okay. Right. Now, we've been explaining for many years that the famous war called Gog Magog, the book of Revelation makes it clear that that's in Revelation 20 at the end of the millennium. So right. At the end of the millennium, it says this is Gog Magog. So what that means is that's our primary number one fulfillment, where we expect Ezekiel 38 to be exactly word to word, perfectly fulfilled at the end of the millennium.
Right. I think a lot of people get that confused too, you know, because I had that confused for a long time myself when I was still in the apostate church.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways of looking at it and saying, well, you know, you get Ezekiel 38, you get Ezekiel 39. It's kind of like the cleanup of Armageddon, and Ezekiel 40 is the temple, and that's the millennium. So yes, there is like a progression there, but and this is why we watch, Johnny. We don't say we know, okay, this is exactly how it's going to happen.
Right.
We watch.
Yep.
And so what happens is everyone is going to struggle with Ezekiel 38 because they're expecting every single word to be fulfilled now.
Right. Yep.
And it's not just me, but when we identify the countries, you see I got them here red and blue. Now, when we read Ezekiel 38, everybody says, well, all those nations go against Israel. Well, many people, and I believe Gomer, I believe Gomer is Germany.
Right.
I believe Tarshish is the UK.
Yeah.
I believe the Young Lions is the United States, and Canada, Australia, New Zealand.
Right.
That's what I believe. And we don't have all of them there, but what we have here is we call it the elements of Gog and Magog, because it's not going to be fulfilled perfectly, but there's parts of it that are happening. It's having a partial fulfillment. And what happens, Johnny, is we didn't know Armageddon, the 10 kings, they fight each other. We all thought, okay, the 10 kings fight the Lamb,
Right.
but they fight each other in fighting the Lamb.
Okay.
You see? So when the kings of the earth go forth in the whole world, this is Ukraine. This is so Putin is Gog, okay?
Right.
He is Gog. And that is Russia, and that's Ukraine. And so that's the kings of the earth, that's this whole world. And so the other thing that happens is we have a hard time saying, well, what about these other nations? Because pretty much Libya, Sudan, Ethiopia are all in civil war, split, destroyed, and no position to deal with any international external conflict because they're destroyed from within, right?
Yeah.
So the problem of what we do is we say, well, it's not happening yet, but it's going to happen. So it's happening. It's going to happen in the future.
Right.
So we're wrong. If we're wrong about something, we're like, well, we're not going to admit we're wrong. We're going to say, well, we'll just kick the can in the future. Well, it's going to happen in the future. And we're trying to say, no, the kingdom is at hand. This is Armageddon. This is World War III. This is it. This is when Christ comes, Well,
I think that's one thing in general in prophecy that people have a hard time understanding is that it unfolds over a time period, a period of time. It isn't just like the movies where everything happens instantly, like the Left Behind movies, portray. And it's like, this is going to happen just like this, and boom, 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 boom. And it's not at all that way.
Yes.
That's something I had very wrong as well.
Well, we just have to have an open approach and say, well, it appears it might go like this, but we'll see.
Right.
So this is amazing because in our global, we actually get all these allies, and actually, the UK. The reason I believe they're in Ezekiel 38 separate from Gomer is I believe Gomer is actually Germany, which is the hub of NATO. So this is actually the European Union as well. And this is the war. It's going back and forth, NATO and against Russia.
Yeah.
They're also allies with Israel. So the other problem we have is that, the UK, they're allies with Israel. They're on the side. Here's Cyprus right here, and they're helping Israel.
Right.
So again, people say, well, in the future, Germany and the UK, they're going to turn against Israel. Well, no, it's too late. It's already going down. So anyway, here's some of the nations we just had summarized. So when it says Rosh, it's Russia. Tubal, we believe, is China. We have Iran, Kush or Ethiopia, Sudan, Libya, Meshech, we believe, is Moscow. Gomer is Germany. Togarmah is Turkey. Sheba is Yemen. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So then the other things we identified as Sheba is Yemen. So this is the Houthis.
Okay.
And Dedan is Qatar, and Qatar is Al Jazeera. So that's like the media war. Al Jazeera is very influential.
Yeah, they are.
And then we get Tarshish and the Young Lions. So we actually have two allies here with Germany and the UK with the Young Lions. So what we get, we call this elements of Gog Magog, because these nations are not just all going against Israel, they're going against each other.
Yes, they are.
Okay, now this is from another one, and this is another way of kind of summarizing Armageddon, but I'm going to move into the local Armageddon. Okay, local Armageddon. He gathers them to a place in the Hebrew tongue called Armageddon. And like you said, the Valley of Megiddo.
Right.
Um, Now, basically, in this is where we just keep studying prophecy, Johnny. And this is all just new things that I've learned in just the last few months. And
Wow.
we're just always going over this and learning things. But the book of Ezekiel provides amazing insight, not just Ezekiel 38, but actually, Ezekiel has a prophecy of the two harlots, the two daughters. And those prophecies are in Ezekiel chapter 16 and chapter 23.
Okay.
And in that prophecy, we have what I call the United States is Samaria.
Okay.
Her name is called Ahola, which means a tent. And we have Jerusalem, which is Jerusalem. You know, it's the modern state of Israel today. Her name
Right.
is called Aholaba. And so, you know, it's this thing about, well, who is Mystery Babylon? Is it America? Yes. Is it Israel? Yes. Because they're the two daughters. Mystery Babylon is the mother of harlots.
Okay. Wow, that makes sense.
You see what I'm saying? So we
Yeah.
get this mother of harlots, and now over the past few months, oh my goodness, you can't believe how does the whole world is so upset about the war, the Gaza war, and Israel. United States doesn't care.
Right.
Saying they don't care. Oh, we're going to set a humanitarian barge. Okay,
Yeah.
well, they use the barge to attack, you know.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Everything
It's
they say is a lie. It's just unreal. Everything the U.S. government says is just a flipping lie every time. Everything out
it's
of their mouth.
unbelievable. You can't even explain it. It's beyond explanation. Well, it's in prophecy.
Well,
So
the
that's
father
what
of lies is at hand, running
it's
around.
and so it's these two daughters, right?
Yeah.
So these two daughters are and it talks about the judgment of these two daughters in both of those chapters. But what I found in there is what we're calling, okay, the local Armageddon, because I believe we could look at this as like the kings of the east. The Euphrates is dried up to make way the kings of the east, so that's east of the Euphrates.
Right.
All right. And we could call that the axis of resistance.
Okay.
And what happens is we actually get 10 kings or 10 locations of nations or cities, whatever you want to call them. They're listed, and there's 10 of them. And this is amazing because they end up being exactly what we're watching in the news all the time. So we get the Amorites, that's Jordan. We get Turkey, Egypt. Okay, we know that. Okay, Syria. And now we're gonna, so the Syrian, Iraqi, all right,
Right.
Hezbollah, and Yemen. So actually all of the very places that are in the axis of resistance, in the axis of resistance in Iran, it's called Quds Force, and Quds is Arabic for Jerusalem.
Wow.
So when Iran says, oh, the Quds Force, if we convert that into English, we really should say the Iranian Jerusalem Army.
Wow. And all these other countries are sending their militias into Syria right now.
Yeah, right,
They're crossing
exactly.
over from Iraq into Syria to go fight Israel right now.
Right,
Wow.
exactly. And so when we're looking at these places, okay, in this map, I found this and I thought it was great because it's showing, revolutionary Iran, and then we get Qatar over here. And
Yeah.
this is it's almost lining up exactly with what we're seeing in right here. Okay, with the we're calling the 10 Kings, where we're getting the Iraqi militias that it's describing. They're right on the border. They're east of the Tigris River, and they're right on the border of Elam, ancient Elam. And they're right here. It's actually exactly describing tribal areas right here in Iraq.
Wow.
And then it says Yemen, and that's the Houthis, obviously.
Right.
And Qatar actually has some militias as well. And I only heard them once launching rockets, but they were involved.
Okay.
And then Hezbollah. Now, what Hezbollah is not everybody knows the Middle East and everything, but basically what Hezbollah is, it's an offshoot of following in the PLO. And so what happened is in 1948, when all the Palestinians were dispersed in Jordan, many of them went into southern Lebanon. So those are the ones that are actually Palestinians that are in southern Lebanon that is forming Hezbollah. You know, the Christians in Lebanon, and it used to be 50% Christians, you know, they're not interested in attacking Jerusalem and all this. But the people that are very extreme about this are actually Palestinians. Okay, and that's what it says here. The Philistines in the land of Canaan. So they're dispersed out of the land of Canaan, place of the Gaza Strip, West Bank, and that's what, you know, Hezbollah is.
Okay.
So here we get Sheba, it's Yemen, it's the Houthis. Here are these tribal areas. It's talking about Pekod, Shoa, Koa. And these are in Ezekiel chapter 16 and 23. So each chapter talks about them, you know, kind of being harlots with the nations that are around them, okay, which is kind of like the peace deal. But then if we add them all up, they end up being the exact axis of resistance that we're watching as to who's going to go against Jerusalem. Wow. So this is the local Armageddon. Okay, so there's a judgment of the whole world, but then there's a local Armageddon, and the order of the 10 kings, you know, and this I found, which was really good. This map here is Iraq here, as you can see. Yep. This is Iran, and they identified all the Iraqi militias, not only in Iraq, but also in Lebanon. All the militias that the kind of Shiite militias throughout this area, and it's amazing because they're very much concentrated in places right near that border with Iran, and also in some of the tribal areas in the prophecy. In Syria, of course, like you mentioned, and in Lebanon. So that, you know, that's just what's real helpful for us, is to just, you know, have things like this and then relate them, you know, to the prophecy. Like you said, Syria. So now they're all coordinating, right? So when Iran is going to do their response, they're going to include Syria. They're going to include Yemen. Hezbollah is going to be involved. They're all coordinating. That's, in my opinion, probably why it's taken a few days.
Right. Well, yeah. And then there's some kind of holy day too that they're trying to get through before they can actually go to war or something like that in the Muslim world. But nonetheless, all these countries are lining up just like the scripture said.
Yes.
That's just incredible to me to see this unfolding in front of our eyes. It's just, wow. Praise the Lord. I just come soon, Lord Jesus. I mean, I keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem.